Yeah, it was a definitely kind of a learning on the job experience for the whole organization, I think. But as the season went along and we got comfortable with the processes and the just kind of getting into the flow of the season, I think everything really smoothed out, and we kind of got it rolling here at the end. It's just too bad the season's as short as it was, because I think we were kind of rolling.
Ran out of games.
Yeah.
Didn't run out of time, just ran out of games.
Yeah.
I sat with you right before All-Star and asked you the grade that you gave the team.
Yeah.
At that point you said it was incomplete.
Yeah.
What grade would you give them at this point, now the season's over?
I'd like to say a B plus. I think that we kind of struggled early, and then we finished. I like to say we finished pretty strongly, and I think that the momentum that we kind of built and we're hoping to kind of carry through into next season. I think that's the type of thing that you can kind of be proud of and try to build off of. I think the groundwork has kind of been laid for what we're trying to do with this team, and the way we want to use the back and forth with the assignments, and then also the types of players that we want to bring in from the D-League players and get a look at and kind of just build the reputation that we have around the D-League now amongst the players. I think that with all that stuff into account, I think that B plus, if not even into the A's, despite if you don't include wins and losses, it's an A for sure. But we didn't make the playoffs, and it's hard to be completely happy when you're not in the playoffs. But it's the first year, so it's not bad.
And you mentioned the way the season's gone.
Yeah.
The NBA going back and forth. How have you seen the improvement from Bruno and his development over the season?
Oh, night and day. It's the type of thing where to see him tonight, like that big dunk, and beyond that, like the emotion he showed and the getting into the game, and the just the fire that he's now playing with is something that you never see out of the guy before, and I think that he's now building a little bit of confidence and seeing the types of things he's doing out on the court is he knows that he's good enough and that he's getting closer and closer to being at the NBA, ready for the NBA level. You can just kind of see this young man starting to realize what he can really become, and some of the highlights he does is, they're jaw-dropping sometimes. So it's pretty exciting to kind of see the progress he's made, and to know that he's still just scratching the surface. It's a lot of fun.
Would you say out of all the assignees, Bruno, Lucas, DeLon, and Norman, that he benefited the most from having?
Without question. I think that the other guys, of course, I think that they benefited as well, because the idea is that we wanted to keep them ready in case their number got called, because we knew that just with where they are in their development, they were closer to getting that shot with the Raptors. So of course they were ready when their opportunity did come. Like Norman, now he's starting for us, and I think that if it weren't for what we were doing down here, he probably wouldn't be as comfortable getting plugged in and doing that. So without question, this helped him as well, and DeLon and Lucas, the times that they have had the opportunity to play, they've looked fresh and ready. But a guy like Bruno, it's from where he was when we first drafted him, after that first year and not having this, and kind of seeing the progress now that he's made with being able to come back and forth, and not even for games, just practicing with the 905 and being around a group of guys that are kind of at a similar stage as he is, and to have him kind of be a big name around here, it builds confidence, and it gets him comfortable and ready, and it's you can't even describe how important that is for somebody.
He was a year behind when the season started, right? As we all know, it's well documented, but has he caught up with the rest of the class, using a school analogy?
Yeah, you also have to consider, though, that he came in, when we first drafted him, behind everybody to begin with from there. So he's still playing catch-up, I think, in terms of that. But the strides he's made are, they're so large from what it probably would have been had we not had this opportunity for him.
Jesse was obviously so happy and proud for guys like Greg and Axel signing their 10 days and extending them even further. In Axel's case, to a whole year. But how proud is it from your perspective here?
I mean, I think that's kind of the whole goal of the D League. You know, I think that as much as it is to develop our Raptors players, like our goal is to create NBA players. Like that's the whole concept of this league, and I think that some of that gets lost when you're trying to win games and you're trying to sell tickets and that thing. So, some of the organizations around the league, like maybe their main focus isn't to develop NBA players, but when we started this mission, like it was develop our players and then try to create as many NBA players as we can, because we're going to have roster spots as well. So to see those guys get the opportunity, and I think that everyone could agree that had Ronald not got hurt, like we probably would have 3 guys that would be signing, rest of the season contracts. To put us with, as one of the most productive D-League teams in terms of creating NBA talent, just as far as signing rest of the season contracts. For an expansion team, I'm pretty proud of that, and I think that it kind of, shows what our goal is and what we're going to continue to, hope to do.
Within days of those deals too, Greg and Axel, you traded for Davion and EJ. I mean, a lot of people could look at the timeliness there and just figure that you might have just needed players to fill holes or whatever. But were you expecting that to really be such a pivotal move then?
Yeah, I mean, those are 2 guys that the scouting that we had done during the season and knowing those 2 guys even from college, I liked them as players, and so I kind of was tracking them during the year. And early in the season when we started with the expansion draft and we kind of created a little bit of a stash of picks by moving the returning rights guys that we weren't going to bring in, I was able to kind of build a little bit of a stash of draft picks, and I wanted to kind of give myself the opportunity to, at the trade deadline, go and get some good players without giving up any of our, or at least giving up a draft pick in each round, and I was able to do that, and EJ and Davion are guys that, for what we needed some toughness and just shot making, and I was hoping to kind of fit those guys in along with Greg and Axel and Ronald. But I mean, we knew that there would be, NBA calls coming, and to have those guys fit in as seamlessly as they did. I mean, I'd be a liar if I said I expected that, but without question, I knew that the talent level that those guys have, that they could really fill a lot of the stuff that we were losing because of the NBA call-ups.
Jesse's always saying that it's the player development that comes first here. That's the goal, and winning comes second to that. But a couple games shy of 500 this season for a team that's essentially built from scratch on both ends. I'm sure that's a nice bonus for you.
Oh, without question. I think that's the my whole point about the, like I'd give this like a B+, or like even into the A grade. I mean, if it was just on player development, it's an A+ without question, But of course, like you want to be in the playoffs. You want to. It would have been nice to have a 500 record for an expansion team. I think that's pretty tough to do, because every other team has a big stash of returning rights players, and we had the bottom of the barrel to pick from when it came to the expansion draft. But we kind of made the best of it, and I think that we were able to put together a pretty decent roster for a first-year team. And I told the guys after the game, it's the D-League, like you never know what next year's going to look like, but if we were to somehow keep this team together, I think the momentum that we kind of build and the way everyone was gelling and playing together, I think that in addition to developing these guys for the NBA, like I think we could put together a pretty good squad next year too if a lot of these guys return.
Besides Axel, sorry, just to follow up, besides Axel and Greg and Ronald, were there any calls about anyone else inquiring about anyone else on your roster?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, we had a lot of calls about a handful of guys. I mean, I'm not gonna, say anything, more than that. Like, there's a lot of exploratory calls going on all the time, and for sure, like Ronald he was right there. I mean, we had calls, like almost on the day from teams, and it's just unfortunate with the timing of his injury. But yeah, I mean, we definitely, I think that we're going to have a roster of guys that they'll probably be sought after for summer league spots, and I think that if anything, we've kind of put our team on the map, but also like given the guys here like very good opportunity to kind of showcase what they can do, and you know, like guys like Scott Suggs, like he's as close as anybody on the wing in the D League as well. So I think that there's a number of guys, and I think that they're close, and they're going to hopefully like get good opportunities in summer league. If we have spots too, like I'm gonna do what we can to keep some of these guys as well. So I think it's kind of just the beginning for some of these guys, and we'll see kind of where it goes from here. And if we can have them back, like I said, like I think that the development process it's more than just 1 year to develop a lot of guys, and like now that they kind of get a feel for the NBA game and they see what NBA level development coaches are able to do and kind of work, you know, the skill sets and get everybody ready, like it's a very beneficial situation for guys like that. And I think that the kind of the word around the league is kind of getting out there that we're a really good situation for creating NBA, readiness. So I think it's going pretty well.
There's an element of disappointment when a team develops a player and he ends up going to another organization.
A little bit,
is there tangible benefits that you've identified that it's good for your organization to have that success?
Totally. I think that it's, of course, it's hard to see another team, kind of poach a player, but at the same time, I'm ecstatic for those guys that they, made it to where they wanted to get to. Like a guy like Axel, I mean, he was playing in France last year, and I think I'm sure we weren't the only team going after him, but we were definitely the team that pursued him the most, and he trusted me this past year to stay over here and give the D League a shot. And I think that it takes a lot of courage to give up a lot of money over in Europe. And I mean, for a guy who he kind of had a growing reputation over there, to trust that, like, hey man, like you're really close to the NBA, whether it's with us or another team, like to take that chance is, I commend him for doing that, and then to actually get the opportunity now and make it, like I could care less what team he's for, just to see him actually make it is, I text with him all the time because it's like, man, I'm just so proud of him, and I think that any of these guys, like as you get to know them during the season, you would way rather have them get called up by any team than not develop them so that other teams don't get the guys. Like it's what it's all about.
Once it gets to the point where each team in the NBA has their own NBDL team, probably going to take 2 or 3 collective bargaining agreements. But do you see basketball going the hockey model or the baseball model, more the hockey, where everybody on your roster is your property? And then you get to keep the guys, because I know you're proud that you got these guys in the NBA, but man, you'd love to be able to keep it for yourself. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's the beauty of the scouting process is to try and find the guys that, may have slipped through the cracks, and if you can find the guy and turn him into an NBA player, like of course you want to reap those benefits. As far as when the league gets to that point, I have no idea, but of course, like that's the hope. Of course you'd want to keep your in-house talent here and then build it from there, but who knows? Because this league is needed too. I mean, the fact that players come out of college now after 1 year. Yeah. Guys just aren't ready. They need this league. Totally. When you spend enough money on a draft pick and you're invested in it, you need this league. Yeah. And I mean, it's not even. That's what's so great about the D League is that it's so beneficial for guys like that, but it's also beneficial for the 4-year college players that might have played at like a small mid-major in the middle of nowhere, and this is a chance for them to play in front of NBA scouts every single game. And I think that there's such a good collection of young, like kind of right on the border NBA talent, to where you see success stories all the time of guys that never had the chance
before, just some good development and the right type of situation for them to all of a sudden, they're a 10-year vet in the NBA. Like it's, like Chris Anderson was the first ever call-up in the D-League, and I think that, he's got to be going on 12, 13, 14 years in the league. Like, it's incredible what this league is designed to do, and it's just going to get better and better, I think, as, like you said, as every team gets their own team and the importance of the D-League continues to grow. You'll see more and more success stories, I think.
And the next thing, too, which is really what general managers hate, but it's a great thing, not only do you lose players, but could there come a time where other organizations come after your front office people, coaches, assistant coaches? Right?
I think
that happens in
it's
all the other
this
sports.
This league is about developing everybody. Like, our coaching staff, they're all going through the same thing that the players are, and that they're learning to do it on the job, and they're in pressure situations, and they're able to make decisions and the hard decisions that they would never be able to do at as a video coordinator or assistant coach or whatever. Like, it's these are the types of things that they build like successful professionals, for sure.
How important is it that having success for, I guess, like Norman Powell's an example, that if you're going to have young guys on an NBA team, that they have somewhere to go. I look at Bruno last year going to Mad Ats and having his confidence crushed by getting DNP CDs in a D-League game over and over again.
No, I think that's the after that experience, it was kind of like, we need to do this. Like, it's if we're truly going to develop the guys at the end of our roster, because honestly, like, thankfully our NBA team is in a situation where we don't have the opportunity for those guys to get a lot of game action. Like, it's a good problem to have, because that means that we're successful. But at the same time, we also want the back end of our roster to be the young guys that will hopefully be the future of the Raptors. And you can't have both if you don't have a situation like this where they can actually develop and more so than just practice. So, last year when we it was, still early in our, like, since Masai's got here, and we all came in together, and we kind of realized that, like, we need something like this in order to, if we want to preach that, like, we want to build from within and have these young guys to kind of be the future of the team as we're successful with our older guys, but then kind of work them in and develop as we go. The only way to do it properly is to have our own, team like this that we can control, and we can, have seamless assignments back and forth, and really, until we did something like that, would we ever, like, fully see the benefits of the guys on our back end, like, doing what we expect them to do.